Welcome to the Warrior Gamer Headquarters podcast.
Hey, my name is Sean Piatz. I'm the COO for Or System. We are the company behind the game with them Frontlines. I spent 28 years in special operations community. Upon retirement, worked a few jobs in that contract world, that dirty, nasty contract world. And then Lucas gave me a call one day. We worked together in the military, and he said, "Hey, man, are you interested in coming on board with this company that I met this guy on the internet, and we met." I was like, "What?" So we chatted a little bit, and I was like, "Yeah, absolutely. If you're involved in it, I'm involved." So here we are. That's my story.
Yeah, for me, my name is Nick Donarski. I'm the CTO at Or System here. Again, the developers behind with them Frontlines. My background, I've been in cybersecurity since it was cool in '99, and really spent more than half my life in that space. Been a gamer since the OG days, and the NES days and all the rest. And got an opportunity to pay it forward for a good cause and building something that was super cool, not only the org but the game. And that's why I'm here.
Yeah.
Last but not least, Lucas Hamrick. I'm the chief executive for War System. Ran into Nick on the internet, like Sean talked about. We were just exploring some opportunities for looking for like-minded individuals to do some neat and different things. I have 23 years in the Army, did about 12 of it in Special Operations Command. Retired, was looking for what my transition was going to be post-military. Thought it was going to be getting back into the school track. Had to kind of deal with some challenges with unpacking some additional triggers and stressors and things of that nature from some of my opportunities overseas. That didn't really present itself in the greatest context. If you have ever had been aboard a sinking ship, so to speak, you knew that you had to make some changes. So I got into some therapies and figured out school wasn't really my bag either. Met Nick. We really started hitting it off right off the bat. Put together a plan to start laying the framework for building a business, and here we sit. About coming up on 2 years later now. It's been a fast couple blinks, and we're 2 years down the road already.
Wow, that's exciting. I think, April, you're going to have an artillery full of questions here, because this is like all your students' dream here, right?
Absolutely. 100. We just did a talk about entrepreneurship and finding your path and doing what feels right and fulfilling a mission that serves others. And it looks to me like you guys are just on point with that. And I was wondering if you could tell us just a little bit more about what drove you to, and who you're serving, and how people can connect with you.
I'll start with that one. We are those guys. We are the ones we serve. Both Lucas and I, like after multiple combat rotations in military, et cetera, we got some demons to unpack. We have our own challenges, and we really want to help out those who also have those same challenges in their life. And as I told Ken earlier, kind of before we started on the show, I'm tired of funerals, man. I want to go to one more. I want to hear about one more of my friends, solving a temporary problem with a permanent solution. And I want to help people, kind of get over what afflicts them in life. That's the main reason behind this game, even though it does sound a little counterintuitive to have a first-person shooter game. But really, a lot of psychological studies, I think, now have proven that immersion therapy and that ability to reconnect with a tribe post-military, because I think that's what we all miss, is kind of what we're aiming for here.
It's like everything we've talked about on our previous episodes, and these guys are actioning it. Like this is very exciting. So we've talked a lot about we definitely talked about immersion therapy, and we talked about how to get over fears, and I think we had someone who was in the medical field. I have to think about what episode who it was, who was talking about like this is a thing that they do. is, they put people and they have them visualize it, but in a immersive digital environment, like it's just astronomically more effective, and so that's really cool. If you can maybe walk me through a little bit of, just kind of describe the game, and like if you can help us paint a picture in our minds about how it looks and how it operates, and then like who should come to the game.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's made for anybody that loves that Call of Duty thing and really wants to get back to building that. Like Sean said, the tribe, right? It's about the community aspect and doing something in that squad kind of feel, that that teamwork aspect of it. So it's got a lot of those same type of capture the flag, first person shooter type of games, as far as demolition, capture the flag, TDM, all those types of things, right? But that's that's because our goal here, as much as it is to build something that helps people, it's also to build something that people actually want to do. So our first mantra is build a game that doesn't suck, right? That's the first thing, because if it doesn't suck, people want to play it, then people will be able to have those benefits, right? And it'll be a natural thing, as opposed to something that, government issue is kind of shoved down your throat, has to fall into that. This feels that more natural aspect of it, right? So that being said, we're also building a companion app that allows you to take those physiological indicators, things as simple as your heart rate and like your O2, that you get from a Fitbit, to correlate those to stressor events inside of the game. So we're actually allowing you to have insight of how you are actually interacting with those events as you're experiencing them as well. And our thought, right, is if you can see it and you can see a trend, or if you share that with somebody that you're going down that path for that assistance, right, that mental health professional or whatever that is, it might help to provide some insight as you're trying to either explain what happened or try to get insight into how you, from an inside perspective, interact with those types of events.
That is fascinating. So I love this because I'm the AI dork and
Yes,
data
yes.
nerd.
So we're building on Azure. We're integrating with like the Azure machine learning framework. So the goal is to do this in real time, to be able to do it at scale. The game is really the baseline, right? It's so that we have a structured data set on the left, and the physiological data is the structured data set on the right, and then being able to do the analysis at scale is the power of it. And then, just like everything else, it's how you present the data, right?
Right. So this is really fascinating. So I don't know of anything else that's doing this, which is you're in an immersive environment and you're reacting to the digital environment in a physiological way. And what you're doing is taking those biometrics, right, and making it make sense in the game world.
Right. And the goal is to work with the medical professionals to build this out. So our build path is multi-phase through this, right? Our goal right now is to make a game that doesn't suck, that people want to play, so that you get that user base and you get people that want to engage with that. And you're testing, the fact of those baselines to kind of build that, use case. And then using the phase 2 of building the mobile app, that allows us to correlate those data once we have that left and right built. And it's much easier, to have that conversation from a video game standpoint than a form standpoint. But the beauty of it is as we get to build in, right, some of those, because the goal isn't to put people into a situation, right, that they're in this stress situation and inducing this and all the rest. Our goal is to work with our medical partners and all the people that we talk throughout, building this, to allow for a platform for them to seek help afterwards as well. So our goal is to build the app as that middle ground so that, it reads you during those events. We want to have a self-reporting functionality so that you can track, or, you hit the buttons and you can, tag a specific time, those types of things. make the app real, easy to use, kind of user friendly and those types of things. And then phase 3 is really to start to build that out so that as you're interacting with people and as you're building this data set, you can start to, have that assistance. And there's, the one thing that a lot of that we find about charities and things like that is that they kind of silo themselves off as they're kind of fighting for, the cash essentially. Our goal is to bring them all kind of together to be able to, have a repository for the people that are going through and rebuilding that community, right? To know where those assets are, because there's so much noise out there too that, a lot of people get lost in the fact of where do I go get help or who do I actually talk to? And, I kind of stole a lot of time there and kind of went on a rant, but
It's great. Yeah, this is great. Conduits to like other VSOs and other charitable organizations is something that I've heard a lot of.
Ultimately, our goal is to do good, man.
I've got a connection for you, Nick. Joel, I just popped him in the chat. 20 years in the Marine Corps. He does a ton of cybersecurity forever, like
awesome.
You. He does a ton of research. His research is on first responders, and that same thing that you were talking about, that taking an account of the physiological changes, using AR and VR to help impact what they're. Oh, thank you, Ken.
There you go.
There's also a team of researchers at Northwestern in Chicago that are researching fight or flight in AR and VR, and also keeping track of people's heart rates and figuring out at what point is that, are they triggered, that sort of thing. So I'm happy to connect you with some folks.
Oh, I'd love that. Yes, please.
He's a big player in our foundation too, so has offered to host events and everything. I mean, real big heart, great guy.
Speaking of the hosted events in the esports world, one of our goals in doing this is we want to get the Army esports team on board, because we want to make them characters in our game. And if we do that,
that would be so cool.
Then the Marine Corps is going to want to do it, and then the Navy is going to want to do it, and the Air Force, and then, God forbid, the Space Force and the Coast Guard. And so the invitation's open. If you're out there, you're part of this audience and you're listening, you're part of an esports team that's in one of the military branches, you can call us. You can send us an email. You can get in touch with us on a million different socials. Let's get you in the game, because then we build a game that doesn't suck. And then we can do esports tournaments, and then we can reconnect our tribes and start to help people out. And so, some of the other organizations that we've talked to through our journey so far specialize in providing immediate help for organizations. And I'll just go ahead and name them out loud. Stack Up is one of those great organizations out there, and so is Sound Off, that are doing great things out there for people who have immediate needs and who may have some stigma, involved with self-reporting. We want to get rid of that stigma. We want to bulldoze that wall down. We want you to be able to call on help and know exactly where to get help. What we don't want is for you to wait on hold on a hotline that's intended to save your life. I'll put my phone number on here. You can call me. I'm not a trained psychologist, but you know what? I got 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason, and I'm willing to listen to anybody that needs help. That's the kind of passion we want to bring to this thing for all of us.
I love it. And, Warrior Gamer Foundation puts on esports competitions for the service elements.
Wouldn't it be cool if you were playing this game in a
yes
competition? That'd be
Wait,
really cool.
I want to pull this thread, man. So how hard is it if we got, I'm telling you, this could be big. If we went to Armed Forces Sports and we're like, look, we'll make digital copies of all of your gamers and we'll host a game for them to play, that would be ridiculous. Yeah. Ridiculous.
So right now, all of the characters in the game are real people. They are real soldiers with real stories. These 2 guys right here on the screen are your initial characters. You can unlock their extra character skins and all the rest as you level up. We also have Carl Erickson. We have Brian Halstead, and we have the infamous Rick Lamb.
we wanted to build in resiliency to what we were doing. And if we champion people who have had been through some of those adverse situations and shown that they can rise above and do great things post-military, that we can talk with them and highlight their stories to give people hope that they can do those same things. Sometimes it is as easy as finding somebody that you can connect with and talk to and decompress and kind of unpack some of these things, because a lot of us have been through similar circumstances.
This is
Fantastic. I've got to ask, I was just meeting with our esports team, and they were excited about the being able to participate in the Call of Duty challenge to create custom skins. I'm wondering if that's something that you guys might consider as a fundraiser or something like that, giving our designers who are not necessarily military, but who are allies and want to support an opportunity to design some skins for you or something along those lines.
Absolutely.
oh,
Yeah.
We want this to be a veteran-centric game, one that's made, for veterans by veterans. We try to the greatest extent possible to find veteran-connected businesses who want to be part of this journey with us. I figured out a long time ago that it takes a tribe to save a village. And the fact of the matter is, we are the biggest tribe. We are. If we choose not to work together, then that's on us. But we will absolutely entertain any veteran organization and or business that wants to be part of this journey with us. Love you, call us.
wow. April, you just like going through a catalog of like 20 people and organizations in your head right now that
Absolutely.
I want to do this right now. I want to do this right now. I'm buying this and I cannot believe it's $29. Like that.
$20 on pre-order
Yeah.
if you get it. Otherwise, you can get all the in-game goodies for $100, man.
I want it all. I want to be in this thing. I want all the companies that I love that are run by veterans and service disabled, veterans to all be in this. Like I want their logos in here. I want their brands in here. I want all that. I want it all in here. This would be the coolest thing ever.
I love it. The boots of real soldiers, real military veterans.
And
That's
this
your
website
tagline for
rocks.
me.
This is awesome.
The fact of the matter is, if you wanted to be just minimally involved in it, we actually are able to do in-game advertising also to get those military brands out there in front of people, to increase your traffic to your website, to help you, get your branding out there in front of a military audience and affect those, who may be in need of whatever service it is you provide, whether it's a T-shirt or whether it's a, who knows what, a high quality blade, a pocket knife, whatever it is. We think there's a lot of space here for everybody. And a lot of what we do is predicated on what we call those, those pillars of resiliency. That's family, faith, friends, finances, and fitness. And if you start to see those things in our community, we start to build up those pillars, then that's part of the the grassroots solution to fighting off the things that are afflicting us as a military population. And so you'll hear us talking about those things on our own podcast and, on social media and wherever. You got to lift each other up. Lucas loved to say it, the rising tide raises all boats. And at the end of the day, that's what we're trying to do, man. We're trying to be that tide that raises all the boats.
Okay. So I want to know a little bit more behind the scenes. So games are not cheap, right? And so you are doing a crowdfunder, right?
Yep, we did our first one, and we're in our pre-order and our alpha test right now.
Okay, so we need to share the link all over the place.
You
right?
want a sneak peek of the game?
Is this a trick question? April, no, I don't think we should. I don't think we should. Yes.
That'd be
If
epic.
you give me share rights, I'll throw her
Oh
up
yeah,
here.
I get yelled at all the time for that. I'm sorry.
One organization I hope you guys can partner with is Gamers Outreach. I think one of the best ways for people to get themselves feeling better is to help others. And I find that military folks particularly are amazing at service and it helps themselves. Gamers Outreach goes into hospitals and supports terminally ill children. And I think that would be another
Oh, that
combination.
would be great, yeah.
Oh, and that's another thing we failed to mention. Our true intent with this is with every game sale, we want to give back a percentage of that money to the charities that support us and we support. Near and dear to our hearts are several of the special operations charities. But I would love for this thing to be a multi-billion-dollar game because that would allow us as a for-profit company to pour money back into those charities that help support us. That's just one of those, from the beginning, when we sat down and looked at this thing, we said we need to give back where we can. And so again, that's kind of built into our DNA, so to speak, as a company and for this project also.
This is so cool. Look at this, Ken. This is amazing.
This isn't, I'm already like blasting this out to someone important. So like you need to get your brand in this game right now.
And I have to be honest with you, I am the old school Atari gamer, right? So I haven't touched games since until we started making this one. I get wasted on this game. And to be honest with you, there's parts of this game that get my blood pressure up and really get my blood pressure up. And then you start hearing the sound in your headphones. And I think that's one of those immersive type of experiences. My 16-year-old, 17-year-old who's an avid gamer I hear him yelling in the other room and I get it now. And so in a way to be able to connect older generation to younger, I'm that use case once again. We have big hopes of bringing this into the VFW. We think it's a great recruiting tool. We think it's the ability to tie generations together, old veterans, young veterans. Old veterans might not play games, but we'll stand behind the screen and talk smack to anybody who's playing that. That ain't the way I did it when I was in the morning.
Even if they suck, they'll still talk.
Yeah,
trash.
man. Even if they never touched a controller or a keyboard, man, because that's the way the military is. That's that dark, humor that we all enjoy so much, the ability just to make fun of each other and not be offended by it.
And if you want to build in like a bar in there that the old gamers can watch what's going on in there, they can come in game like in Fortnite and do live events that aren't necessarily playing, but they're chilling and connecting with each other.
I think esports is that tie.
Yeah.
Old veterans like sports.
Mhm.
Maybe it's esports gaming.
You get the old school clan set up in here so you can run your own clan name and everything in it, like the old school SOCOM. So
like mad. I mean, like I am in just awe of how beautiful this is. And I mean, like you are not doing something half-ass. I mean, this is amazing. You're doing a really good job.
I appreciate that. There's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, and after hours work and all that goes into this, man. It's a lot of love and passion and everything else that goes through here.
So, okay, let me just ask a few questions too. So, depending on who's watching, like everyone who will watch this will get excited about this. I don't see anyone going like, I mean, this is really cool. So, if someone wants to get involved, and say they either own a company or they're the purchasing person for APHIS, right? Or the NEX or whatever it is, like how would they get involved with you guys? And what would that kind of look like? Even if I'm a regular person too, just kind of give us an idea of.
The first step is, help us out with the pre-order, the $20 that allows us to keep building this out, keep bringing more vets in and doing all the cool stuff that we're talking about. It really is that simple when it comes to keeping this thing going. As far as the vets that want to get involved or somebody that wants to be into it, reach out to us. Like Sean said, we're on every social out there. Sales at orsystem.com or ore-systems.com. You can hit us up on support at orsystem.com. We're out there. Hit us up personally, hit us up socially from the org. We want to be part of, the fun of this. And I think through the humility, the humor, the everything, right, that allows the walls to come down a little bit easier. You're not talking about something that's you know, this very, very, very shelled off section of you anymore. You know, you can see that other people are sharing their stories through something like a video game. Our goal is to continue to build this out, and as we're building the multiplayer, the goal is to launch to a campaign where you're actually able to play through people's stories and people's experiences and things like that.
Wow.
So once we start building the foundation for the multiplayer and we get all of that done, the goal is to continue the development line to really kind of build that out. And you know, content is endless. Content is endless. There's somebody from a walk of life that can tell their story, that can share it to allow somebody to see that it's cool to talk to somebody, and that can be something as, you know, as big as sharing their story for a video game, or it could be something as small as having a conversation with the person sitting on the couch next to them. You know, it's just
Wow.
it's all about trying to make it easier to have that conversation.
Nick,
Thank-
is your game up on Steam? Our friend Sam, his whole family's are doctors, and he was a video game designer, and he designed games for teaching doctors how to do these complex surgeries.
Sure.
He popped it on Steam, and 100,000 people downloaded it.
Yeah, our goal is to launch on Steam. We'll be launching direct download, and our goal is to be on Xbox.
Nice, fantastic.
Boom, baby. Done.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
You know, the part of this thing that I like to call them playable mini documentaries. That's kind of what we're shooting for with our campaign mode. Again, you know, development timelines being what they are, we want to get this first person multiplayer out there. We'll tell the stories as we're able in the early phases of this thing, but really, and I go back to one of our main characters, Rick Lamb. He was actually one of my leaders when I was still in the military. More than that, he's much more than just one of your guys. He's a legend in the SOCOM community. If you've ever just Google him, and if you don't know, go look at it. He's got his full bio on our website. Literally a legend in the community, but one of those guys who is just personifies leadership and strength and resilience. And you know, literally, I think he's been in every major conflict over the last 40 years. But at the end of the day, for him to come forward just on ask and say, "Hey, boss, would you consider, you know, lending us your face for this game?" He's like, "Yep." And I won't tell you the comment he made. It's funny, but literally, I think every person has said the same thing. Hey, and at the end of the day, we're pretty Army heavy out there. I mean, I know the Army's the best branch of service. We get that, and we're not biased at all. But where's the SEAL community at, dude? You guys all got book deals. I know you do. So maybe you're tied up, and I'll forgive you for that. But you know, if you want to be part of this, man, hey, give me a call. It's not that hard. Don't be scared.
All right. That's cool. And did I think someone had to go at half the hour? Yeah.
I do. So I have to go do the dad thing. I had my newest son on Monday, so I'm doing the solo dad thing tonight while she's in the hospital getting some rest and relaxation. So I appreciate the opportunity, guys. I really, really appreciate you having us on. I know these guys won't let you down for the rest of the half hour here that's left. Thank you very much for getting the word out. Thank you very much for grabbing a copy of it. And man, I'll send you an alpha key here after I get back online here. So, all right. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful night.
See ya.
Thank you so much. Ken, can you share the link so other people can grab a copy?
Yeah, I'll put it in the show notes. Because
Super.
I don't think that people see the chat when we burn the copy.
Gotcha.
For
I'm gonna
YouTube.
go buy it too right now.
Yeah.
Much appreciated.
Okay. So I know April has a bunch of folks that she mentors that are trying to get into the industry. We've had a multitude of guests who are creating pipelines from like, I'm a gamer tween, right, to I'm an engineer and I want to join this industry. So do you have openings, or are you open to interns, fellows, and are there any opportunities for people to learn about what you're doing by actually working with or under you?
Yes.
Absolutely. I mean, there's always opportunities to connect with people who are interested in what you're doing. We're a small organization, so we can shape those boutique style opportunities to really make sure you learn what you want to learn when you decide that you want to take part in the opportunity that we have. Nick's a great mentor from a technical developer aspect. He spends countless hours with some of the other. We have two guys who are out on military duty from the company right now, so a little bit understaffed in that regard. But like Nick really takes the opportunity to make sure that you understand what he's asking you to do from a developmental perspective, and how that really applies to the project writ large. As far as operational business expertise, we would love to have some aspiring young business professionals come in and take some take the baton and run with it in the directions that we give you. Sorry for babbling. Got like 5 things in the background. Sorry, it's just kind of distracting.
No, that's fantastic. And I think that's
Yeah.
you never know who you're talking to when they're so young. And I work at a college, and the kids are 18 to 24, eager with a lot of time on their hands,
Yes, ma'am.
learning game design, learning networking, learning the business side of releasing a game. The technical side's a small percentage. Getting that right is one thing, but also, nailing what market you're going after, nailing who you're connected with, nailing the grants that are out there, particularly around mental health and service to our communities. I'm really, really thrilled to hear about the work you're doing. Ken will tell you, we've got a JD comes to mind, Ken. We've got a lot of folks in psychology who I think would love to sort of set up sort of in-game stations that if somebody is playing and they want somebody to talk to, like maybe you've got a Mission Hill sidebar that people can
Oh, yeah.
in-game go and talk to an actual professional in-game. I think there's a fantastic platform that you're creating that is, like you said, make sure it doesn't suck first, make it fun first, but then within the fun, provide the resources that might get in front of somebody before they make that permanent choice that Sean was talking about earlier, because it is 1 in 22 right now for our military vets that are that make that choice when we could. That's one of the reasons Ken and I do what we do, because we want to give people some options, and we want to give people some connections with folks like you to give them a chance to do something different.
Sean and I had the opportunity to finish our military careers, so we know the full depth and breadth of the resources that are at our disposal to make sure that we're okay by the time we're done. The kids who do that do 3-4 years and then get out after that one rotation to Afghanistan, they don't understand that there are resources in place that can really help you unpack some of those more challenging exposures to like the cruel side of humanity. So any opportunity we have to share those experiences it's a blessing, and honestly, it's been one of the most rewarding things that we've had from just having the opportunity to reconnect with some people that we haven't touched base with in quite some time, to pick those conversations back up like you never lost touch. So it's a blessing. It's a humbling experience to be able to connect with those people, and we really want to put our best foot forward and have the opportunity to help people in a capacity outside of the VA, because while the VA is doing its darndest to do the best, it's a bureaucratic process, and sometimes change is slow. We're a tech startup, so we're agile and nimble, and we can shift our focus and get right to that new medium or new platform or new game to address those needs immediately.
That's amazing. Your game can give such the information that's out there. You guys can distribute information in a much faster, more impactful way by just host, like, Fortnite hosts a concert and there's a million people in it. You guys can host an event to let folks know what forms they need for the VA and why they need to do it. And I think you guys have such a fantastic platform, and you're doing, anything that we can do to help, we want to, right, Ken?
Absolutely. Like it's so cool because, I volunteered for this show I just knew there was going to be something big about it. And like, this is the first time where I'm like, I have a lot of connections. Like, I know a lot of people. Like, this could be very interesting because you're doing everything. I mean, you're doing the PTS, you're doing the veterans, first responders, you're making an immersive reality, you're doing a game, you're doing machine learning and artificial intelligence. I mean, like, whoa, I mean, that is a big deal. The knowledge that I have in my head, I mean, that's a big deal. So I wanted to ask you, have you looked at shift.org to becoming a partner with them? I'm going to send you this stuff so you don't have to write it down if you don't want, but in the National Security Innovation Network, how about AFWorks or SoftWorks?
AFWorks, SoftWorks, the SIPR program, STTR. We've got some documentation put together to get phase 1 SIBR application coming up probably within the next week out the door before that quarterly opportunity closes. And that's going to be a part of our funding apparatus that we're trying to really gravitate towards, because we think it does have a particular fit within the governmental infrastructure, and it would benefit not only our target audience, which is 23 to 45, male, female, combat experience or training, but really the game is just a control item. It lets us dictate the terms with which the user interface functions. Anything can be that control item. You can play that, like Sean alluded to earlier, like a sexual response trauma videos can have that same outcome in our middleware. It'll give you the same type of feedback. So we're just kind of just now scratching the surface of all the opportunities. We just went with the post-traumatic stress because we it's like the hair club for men. I'm not only a client, I'm also the president kind of deal. We are our target audience.
I think when you start to consider the possibilities that come from a long-term data set of a specific population, I think there's several studies sanctioned by the government out there in controlled environments. What about a semi-controlled environment that generates the type of data that you can't normally get on a PCL5 with a visit to your psychiatrist or psychologist? And so by correlating that data, storing that data, making it searchable, analyzable, et cetera, and then seeing what triggers individual, I think there's ability there to potentially come up with new therapeutics that maybe we can introduce into the game. That's the part that really excites me. The ability to have a baseline of, say, an 18-year-old that maybe joins the army or military of some type, and he keeps playing that game. Maybe he plays that game while he's deployed in combat. Maybe you see those changes over time because we all play games when we're deployed in combat. It's 90% boredom and 10% exhilaration. We kind of know that, right? And now he's a veteran after 2 tours and, pick your stand, whatever that might be. And now he continues to play that game. So that one piece of continuity is data over time. Now you have a snapshot of an 18 to 35-year-old potentially, or 18 to 40 or 50-year-old over time. What is that data going to do to help solve the problem? I think that's what we don't have. That's a part that excites me the most. One medical record, that's the part that really excites me. If it can be a bridge and show people that, yes, you can combine a VA and DoD medical record on one particular medium, and that might be distributed ledger technology as we go forward, with AI analysis built in that starts to find patterning and algorithms that scientists can then examine, doctors, whomever, and say, okay, I see it now. It wasn't apparent to me before because I get a 20-minute clinical snapshot on a PCL5 and a little bit of human interaction. That's not denigrating anybody, by the way. That's just is what it is. Lucas loves to say it all the time. If you had a bad day, you had a bad drive to the clinic, well, your PCL5 might be a little different than it would have been otherwise, right? Because your mood's a little, maybe you're a little stressed, maybe somebody cut you off, maybe you're triggered, whatever that case might be. So we kind of get to see the ups and downs of this. That's the part that's pretty exciting to me. And I say it all the time. If we can save one, we can change one person's mind by doing what we're doing, it's worth it to me. Blood, sweat, tears, treasure, it doesn't matter. Just one. And then we'll get another one. And then we'll get another one and another one. And then pretty soon, we don't have 46 a day. We don't have 22 a day. We don't have one a day. That's the goal.
Wow.
That's the real vision.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. Healthcare is moving that way too, with the blockchain technology. The diagnosing your blood pressure based on 2 data points a year is just archaic now, that when we have Fitbits that are telling us, almost hourly data.
Yeah. And what's really exciting is we've talked to a few other companies out there who are building, kind of full half body sensors, if you will. And we've talked to companies who do things like this in the real world, where those measurables now translate from a pre-combat or training environment, real, not game data. I'm talking about real people data that translates to game data, that and the middleware that we're building, we think can assimilate all of that data set. So that's what makes that middleware really important. We build it, we leave the pigtails hanging out, you plug in whatever. Aspirationally, maybe some of the largest games that are played worldwide in the country want to come and chat with us, and maybe we can plug that system into them. So ours is just another, front end interface, so to speak. There's a lot of possibilities here.
That's why I put the link for America's Army for Proving Grounds there. I was wondering if you have like connections with them, maybe a way to share their user base with your game, so that there's a bridge from their game to your game without having to relog in. Same with Call of Duty. I think that would be fantastic, working on that interface.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that we really hadn't discussed thus far, I'm a huge proponent of privacy and public information. So one of the things that we set ourselves the task on was the video game has to be standalone. It'll function as a video game, and you'll be able to play it if you decide not to opt in to that data collect. The companion application will function as a standalone wellness application. And it will function if you don't ever connect it to the video game. We don't want to take data that isn't necessary, and we want that to be randomized. And that's the beauty of blockchain. You go for a traditional database storage for the game's gameplay information storage, and the application plugs into a blockchain ledger. The disconnect can be reconnected via specific information within that machine learning algorithm. So that will allow that data attribution upon approval by the end user. Other than that, it's completely benign information that's collected.
Good nonetheless.
Yeah, but still invaluable from a medical research perspective.
And that, that distributed ledger technology also allows for access control, a lot finer access control, especially if it's on a private blockchain, not a public one, obviously. No tokenization needed, et cetera, et cetera. And what we're really talking, some of the largest corporations in the world use distributed ledger right now. Walmart is one of the foremost leaders in distributed ledger technology. And in fact, I think they actually said if you're not on board with that by, I think it's 2030 or something, then you can't do business with us anymore. That's a big statement from a very large corporation. And I think it's a window glass into the future about the way things are going to be handled going forward as far as data management is concerned. It's the ability to have, a fully immutable, auditable record that you can then search for. And I think when you apply AI to that, to Ken's point, that becomes infinitely more powerful than the things we're currently looking at. Future is bright.
So question, so what type of wearables are you envisioning or you could be incorporating? while I'm patiently waiting for the release of my new video game, you know, what do you expect, folks, and what kind of data you think, or we might have to, wait for Nick, but I don't know what type of wearables, what kind of data you're going to be chomping on.
Fitbit is DoD approved for Wear, and they have a free API access. So that's what we're starting with. Aspirationally, we're going to integrate Samsung fitness applications, Apple Fitness, and a multitude of anybody that will let us connect to their wearable IoT is what we've set our sights on. We have, like Sean alluded to, we have some other stakeholders that are already through some of the SIBR process into different phases that have different haptics and wearable devices that we're in negotiations with and discussions for how to connect their equipment to our middleware, and that could give an even more robust data set to use in those medical research opportunities.
And the thing is, and we've been toying with this recently, the whole wellness function. It's one thing to capture data on the individual level. It's another thing to be able to modify your behavior in accordance with that data that you personally see outside of a medical doctor. And so the wellness field has, literally thousands of apps. Every device that you have comes with an app, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Again, exploration through other partners. If we find a company that already has that application and who's willing to partner with us to go forward for that shortens our developmental timeline by quite a bit. And I think we found that company a little different. They're doing a little different spin on what we're kind of thinking about, but we're exploring things right now. It's one thing to write your own application. It's another, sometimes when you can grab it off the shelf and plug it in and it makes sense to do so, then you do that. It just makes sense from a business perspective and from a relationship perspective. So there's a lot of exploration. It's continuously ongoing. Like Lucas said, when you're a small you're a small company, you can pivot left and right a little bit. Sometimes you get off the trail, and we got to align ourselves, and that's his job. Just swat me on the ear. No, guy, don't do that today. So yeah, it's been fun.
So is this, with that statement, it would be like you play the game and then, you log the wearable on, like, I'm gaming, which is not a menu on anything I've seen yet.
Right.
Which needs to be, which is really cool. I never thought about that. I can't believe it. And then post game, the data then gets kind of, converged and analyzed.
Yeah, and
Into
then
the matrix, so to speak.
oh, then what can I do with that data?
Yeah.
Right. Maybe
Okay.
maybe my heart rate doesn't go up if I don't sit here, drinking Red Bull. Maybe, it's Lucas tells me all the time, if you can't change unless you change your habits. And so it's one of those things. And then sometimes you just need that buzzer to go off while you're playing your game. Maybe that watch buzzes and says, hey, don't do that. And maybe it's the one that does this while you're icing the Red Bull cans. Nothing against Red Bull. I'm just saying, whatever it is, whatever you perceive as bad habits, maybe that fitness or wellness app helps you. Maybe that thing tells you stop gaming.
Yeah.
Go exercise.
Yeah.
Maybe it's hooked to your screen after 6 hours of a marathon contest where you've been logging data and just shuts down and says, stop it, go for a walk and do something else. I mean, as guys building a game, that sounds counterintuitive, but
Warrior
at the end of the
Gamer
day,
Headquarters podcast.
How do you control your
Out.
own screen time if you don't change your own habits? If you don't believe me, just look at your phone. It'll log how much time you look at it a day. Set an alert. Set an alert at 4 hours, and I think you'll be surprised when it goes off in a day. I've done that recently.
Yeah, I think, Sean, you brought up a good, good topic, which we haven't addressed this precisely, April, which is a good time, but there's a point of diminishing returns, right? And so, like, we've talked about, like, too much gaming, like everything, too many apples, you'll get sick, right? And so there's a point of where, like, there's optimum time. And I've never heard anyone really talk about kind of like the things that I do, right? Which is, look, I can only hold a certain heart rate for so long doing certain activities. I mean, that is the golden nugget of being an elite athlete is going, how much time should I spend in each of the zones? How much post time should I have? And I'm willing to bet, I mean, you guys cracked the nut on like optimum gaming duration and stuff like that, because there is a point of diminishing returns. Your neurology can only stand so many active firings. And my God, like I've never seen cognitive like flexibility and versatility in anyone that I've seen at these gaming events. I mean, it's absolutely amazing. So, I mean, you guys might be all of the coaching services that we saw, what, April, I don't know, like 3 months ago, there's
Yeah.
gaming coaching. This is big business. Like they might be like, hey, you guys, I could like monitor my athletes. You know how much I pay for coaching, for a coach to monitor what I do? I mean, I used to pay thousands a month when I was trying to make the Olympics.
It's huge. And I think another opportunity is to really, like you said, we talked about Atomic Habits on this show before. We've talked about Limitless by Jim Quick. What you guys have an opportunity to really drill in new skills. Like if you want to teach people to meditate, to relax, you can have them unlock a gun if they do so many hours of a unique gun. You can incentivize them in game with like some really cool stuff to give them a reason to do a new habit. Like I got to meditate now.
Some of
I
our
want-
conversations are just amazingly entertaining. And never in 1,000 years did I think that I would be talking like technology injects into video games that we're making. It's just a complete blur of like, man, it's amazing to just have the opportunity to like put together some of the opportunity, the game that we're putting together, and it's going to come out first rate. I would highly recommend everybody get on and buy the most expensive copy. I'm just kidding. Please, look into it. It's really interesting. If you're interested, reach out to us on any of the socials, withthem.vet, withthem.co. Go there, register for an account, buy a game, and look for the socials to reach out and connect with us. We love spending as much time as we can with other veterans and figuring out that we can help them in their journey, or they can help us in their journey. So build that resilient network and survive and thrive,
And I think, Lucas, if you invite the spouses, the wives, the people who are connected closely to the veterans too, that's a way to serve the community.
You bet. My wife could tell a whole completely different story than I can. Her perspective is unique to the after effects of what my exposure was. So it's really humbling to sit down and have some conversations with her years after the fact, and seeing how some of those things, how she unpacks them completely different than I did.
Yeah, I'll tell you a quick little war story here. No kidding, there I was. So my daughter, my oldest daughter, is just commissioned as a second lieutenant in the Army, but she did a degree in psychology. And so one night she was home from school, she was sitting at the kitchen table, and she said, "Oh, we're studying PTSD in school." I'm like, "Oh, that's interesting." I said, "Why don't you diagnose me?" She goes, "You're classic." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" You know what I mean? There's the old denial, right? I said, "Okay, well, kid, why don't you go ahead and tell me how I'm classic?" And she proceeded to shoot me with an M60 machine gun. Every point she listed, everything I couldn't see myself, she listed it. And she goes, "And you do that?" I was like, wow. No amount of therapy that I'd had to date hit home as hard as that child telling me what the real deal was. So when you talk about viewing it from another perspective, go talk to your wife if you don't believe me. Go talk to your kids. They'll tell you a whole different story, man. Anyway, there you go. War story.
Bringing them in is so important. I know many, it's a unit. It's the women and the children who stay and who really want to be there and want to know what to say and what to do. I think you guys have another opportunity to really give them a resource to connect with each other as well within your space. And, it may be a a lodge for the ladies or something
yeah.
like that. That's within your game that, gives them, maybe they don't have to be in the forest shooting with the rest of the guys, but you may have a home front on your game that gives them a chance to connect with each other and talk.
Well,
Yeah.
funny you should mention that. In our spare time, we also have a little thing we like to call Bubble, which is private social media site, which will actually be superior, in my opinion, for forming those groups outside of the mainstream social media channels where, um, your data's for sale. We're not those kind of guys, as Lucas said, but that's something we can definitely entertain. We have the infrastructure built for it. It's ready to rock and roll right now. So if we see a need for that, a good application from my standpoint would be a family support group, because we offer encrypted chat and we offer your own personal social media site, so to speak. But yeah, there's a few more facets, a few more things we can pick out of the deck of cards, but all great ideas tonight. And I think we've touched on several of those in our own mind. And really right now, it's just somebody to come forth and say, hey, let's get this one energized. Let's get it across the line, because we're excited.
Cool. Well, I think that's a good place. We're about at an hour, and we're gonna let folks do their own purchasing. So I mean, $20. I mean, I see people at Starbucks spending that on croissants. So let's definitely do that. Everyone do it. And because you're gonna have to fight me in this game, and I'm gonna be the dude. I'm gonna have my own avatar. I'm doing it. This is happening right now because I'm very competitive, and I want some esports medals up there, and I'm super excited about this. So please go out to get the game. Go to the Indiegogo. Now the new one isn't live yet, right? Or you work? How can people just give you money? I want to give you more than $20. Like, how do I do that?
The Indiegogo campaign is completed. You can still log on there and contribute.
Okay.
The pre-order for the game link is on the website now. But you can search Indiegogo for with them Frontlines, and it'll take you to the donations page as well.
Okay, perfect. So that solves people's questions that they had for an hour. They can give you more money that way. All right. And then contact them through all their social media channels, which are down in the show notes as well. I just put them in there. And we are super excited, and we will have you on again, maybe like a few days or a week before the debut, and capture all the excitement. And then we're going to see you on some other channels, because I'm going to hook you up with some folks.
Sounds great.
Yeah. So stay tuned. And any saved rounds?
You know what? I'm just going to give one shout out to our boy Tarlin over there on Twitch. He hosts Coffee Talk Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 08 in the morning. It's a free for all, and it's good just to reconnect with the tribe. So jump in there. You can catch us on the Warrior Hour at 7 Central on Wednesday nights. If you want to just come and have a look around, suggest a topic, jump in, chat with us. We're available on the social. So guys, thanks very, very much for having us tonight. We really, really appreciate it.
And I just wanted to tell you one thing. So, and all of the branches of the military, except for the Marine Corps, have an official esports team, and they're all going to be in DC, right, Ken, with Johnny
Right.
Cash and those guys. So that might be an opportunity for you guys to do the scanning project, because everybody's going to be down there for an event that WarriorGMR is participating in. So that could be really cool to get those actual games in there.
Good plug, April.
Yeah, absolutely. When we were talking to Josh last week, he had mentioned that 16th, 17th, I believe, September is that event.
Yep.
We'll have to figure out a reason to be there.
There you go.
All right, great. Hey, thanks again so much. Really appreciate you guys.
Thank you. Thank you. We wish you all the best. I'll be cheering for you from Chicago. And if there's anything you think of that we can do, let us know. Right, Ken?
Absolutely.
Hey, we got peeps in Chicago. I'm just telling you.
Oh, sweet.
All right. Warrior Gamer Headquarters podcast out.
Warrior Gamer Headquarters Podcast. Out.